Today I'm going to teach you how to be better at thrifting. Every time I post a thrift haul, there's always people in my comments being like, how do you always find such good things at these thrift stores? My thrift stores, all they have is like, I love America and Southern women. And like, trust me, like I have been to thrift stores like that too. I 100% acknowledge that they exist and they're annoying. But I'm here to tell you that there's still hope because there are some little tips and tricks that I use for my thrifting. Of course, you're still gonna have your stinky thrift stores, like you're not gonna find anything at it. But in my experience, it's like a minority of the time. I can usually go to a thrift store and leave with at least one good thing. So my first tip is to lower your expectations when you go thrifting. I see so many people like on TikTok especially being like, oh my god, this one person found a pair of demonias at their thrift store for like $5. Why is my thrift store so bad? Okay, we need to understand that is luck. Expensive shit like that is not something that you're usually just gonna happen upon. You have to do a lot of frequenting your thrift stores. It really depends on which thrift store you go to where you're gonna find stuff like that, because a lot of them, like, I know Goodwill likes to capitalize on good brands, but if you go local, I mean, like, sometimes they'll price up good brands because, like, if they're, like, small enough, they probably need your money. But Goodwill just likes to price shit up for no reason, and at Goodwill I feel like you're not gonna find a lot of expensive stuff like that, and most of the time it's all like already bought anyway. Since Goodwill is so fucking popular, everyone goes to Goodwill. Of course it is possible to find Trip NYC skirts, and like that's totally okay. I mean, if you go enough, you might have an experience like that. I used to go to Goodwill like back before it got completely fucking gentrified. The Goodwills that I used to go to fucking suck now. You know, it happens. I lived in a pretty rich area. It's gonna happen to rich areas. At one of those Goodwills, I found 2 pairs of Doc Martens on 2 separate occasions. This is another issue. Neither of them fit me. I wanted to convince myself that they would fit me, but they didn't fucking fit me. The first pair was a regular pair of Doc Martens, but they were long and they made me look like I had clown feet. I still wore them all over the place because they were Doc Martens. It's fucking cool. I got them for like really cheap. These are the other pair of Doc Martens that I found. These long ass little buckle boots. I hope I can show you without putting them on because they're kind of annoying to put on. Guess what's wrong with these? They're too small. Not only are they too small, but the inside is falling apart. That's just kind of what you're most of the time gonna find if you find something expensive. Usually people donate it, not because they just don't want it or it's not in style, it's because it's fucking falling apart. Like, I'll use it, I wear them sometimes. I had to take out the little fucking foot sponge, the thing you put your foot on. I had to take that out so my feet would actually go into them. These are like a size 5. Who the fuck's a size 5? This is like the coolest thing that I've ever bought at a thrift store, and this was years ago. Like, I don't score very often. But yeah, a lot of the time you're not gonna find like super cool stuff at thrift stores. You're just gonna have to usually stick to basics, and that's totally fine. I buy a lot of like this thing. This sweater, it's cute, but like it's nothing that I would have had on my like little thrifting wish list. I don't even think this is like an interesting brand either. You don't have to fucking find the craziest stuff ever to be able to like something. So yeah, lower your expectations because a lot of the time thrift stores are just not gonna have the most insane stuff known to mankind, especially things that are heavily sought after, like the shit that Depop sellers go and resell. A lot of the stuff you're just gonna have to buy new. My next tip would be to have a style in mind, like a distinct style, like Pinterest board in your head kind of style. Something that I've noticed when I go out thrifting, if I just kind of go and I'm like, yeah, like whatever jumps out at me, I guess I'll buy. I'm usually not as successful on those days. I have to go in there being like, fuck, I want to look like a scene kid today. So I go in the thrift store and I'm like looking through shit and I'm like, does this look like something I would have seen someone wear on their MySpace profile in 2008? Yeah, then I'll buy it. What I would recommend that you do is just look at things. Look at things that you like. Look at people that you like. Look at Instagram. Look at fucking Google. Just Google like scene kids 2008. That's pretty much what I do. Observe very closely what these people are wearing. Because if you're like me, I have trouble like visioning shit in my brain, so I can't just look at things and be like, that's what would look good on me. I don't know. A lot of cool fashion includes a lot of layering. I'm not good at layering. My advice would be to look at people who are good at layering. When you like layering, you have to look at the boring shit that a person has put. Like with outfits, it can't always just be cool item plus cool item equals cool outfit. Sometimes it has to be like boring item plus boring item plus boring item plus boring item equals cool outfit. Not everything that you buy has to necessarily be a statement piece. There are a lot of good statement pieces at thrift stores. Thrift stores are notorious for like, you see something, you're like, what the fuck is that? Who would wear that? You should wear it. You can pull off anything if you have the confidence to do so. I can't really just go to Goodwill and look at things and feel inspired. I have to feel inspired before I go. Otherwise, I don't really get a whole lot of stuff. You have to look at each individual item and be like, would my inspiration wear this? I'll look at shit and be like, would Avril Lavigne wear this in the early 2000s? Sure. Just have a style in mind so you can actually decide if things would fit your vibe. Otherwise, I don't have a single clue what I'm doing. My next tip would be to look everywhere and take your time. If you go to the thrift store and you take less than like 45 minutes to an hour, you're probably not being thorough enough, which isn't a bad thing. Sometimes you just don't fucking feel like it. I get that. If you go to a thrift store and you just kind of sift around for a second, you're like, nah, I don't like anything here. You're not gonna find anything by doing that. I had a friend who's like, oh yeah, we can go thrifting, and she looked at like one fucking rack. She's like, yeah, I don't like anything. I'm gonna be here for an hour. You better fucking look around the store. And then of course she finds like 5 pieces of clothing that she wouldn't have found without me telling her to go look. When I'm like less focused and I go to the thrift store, I'm just kind of like passing by looking at patterns. Nothing's usually gonna jump out at me unless I do like a certain pattern. I have to actually take my time and look at things, and it's all tedious, but that's how I find cool things. A lot of times the coolest shit is like buried that you're not even gonna see until you open the clothing. You should also look at aisles that you wouldn't really necessarily look at. Sleepwear. And you're like, Anna, why the fuck would I buy secondhand PJs? First of all, there's nothing wrong with buying secondhand PJs. Look at me. I've found a lot of like cool slip dresses. 2019, people were really into slip dresses, layering with them, and I still do that. I still think slip dresses are really cute. And stuff that's even like technically lingerie, I like doing shit with. Fuck sexualizing clothing. If it's pretty, I'm gonna wear it. I've also found a few corsets at the sleepwear section. Cause like if you were gonna find a corset at a thrift store, where else would you look? The fucking sleepwear section. If you got the time, just go do it. You might find something. All the cool stuff that I find is usually like I happen upon on accident. This is probably gonna sound very skinny privilege of me, but I would suggest looking into sizes that you don't normally wear. First of all, because sizing is a lot of times inconsistent as fuck. Like I'll go to the pants section and I can range from like people putting things in the 0 to like the 6, you know? Sometimes you can buy stuff that you can wear like larger, like this is an extra large and I'm wearing it as a dress, you know? I don't mind a large hoodie, a large jacket, stuff like that. I like will kind of disregard sizes vaguely. I'll still kind of try to keep it to a reasonable sizing point, but I would suggest definitely looking at sizes. I've noticed a lot of times, this doesn't happen as much with Goodwill, but like local thrift stores, employees will put shit in random places. Or like people who are shopping and they don't want anything anymore. Sometimes they'll just stick it on a rack somewhere. I found stuff like that, like stuff that's not supposed to be in the pants section, but that it's there. I've also noticed in local thrift stores, people will put women's small in the children's section. It's funny to me, but I guess if I were like a more average sized human being and not child-sized, I don't know, I might get confused with that too. I do fit into a children's large, so just look fucking everywhere. You will find things by doing this method. My next tip is to alter your clothing. I'm not just saying sewing machine everything, like physically alter the sizing. I mean, I will get around to that, but that's not what I'm saying in general. Take things that are almost cool and make them cool. You can put safety pins on any fucking thing and make it look about 20% cooler. Also studs, you can buy like a plain jacket and just add studs and patches, like DIY your own shit. I love buying plain jackets and just decorating them. I'll show you an example. I bought this cool little hoodie. I just added some safety pins on it. That's cool. I've shown this jacket on my TikTok, but I'll show it again here too. I've DIY'd almost every aspect of it, which like I could still do more to it, but like this is where it ended up for now. I have a Skeletal Animals patch, some buttons. I chained the sleeves. I added some studs by the pockets. I added horns to the top. Obviously, a sewing machine is very much a privilege. You have to drop like $200 on that piece for the machine alone. If you had the patience, you could always hand sew. Like, that's pretty easy to do. I would rather die than hand sew something. I'm sorry. I'll embroider something maybe once a year, but that's enough. If you're thinking about altering stuff, get stuff from the crafting section. I've found like studs in the crafting section of thrift stores. It's very possible. I also like to find pony beads in the craft section, and I'll put like candy on my shoelaces. Or even if you find like a boring pair of Converse, just put some new shoelaces on. And if you do have a sewing machine, you can always alter things to be bigger or smaller. Bigger, not so much, but there's some workarounds. Smaller, you can always just shrink shit. It's a skill that you need to acquire, but once you do acquire it, it's worth it. Like, I can just take things and make them personalized. Another thing that I like to do when I go thrifting is find fabrics that I really like. If I see a cute little pattern in just the ugliest piece of clothing, I'll buy it and then I'll like turn it into something else later. I also like buying bed sheets from Goodwill and using it as fabric later on. Another thing that I like to do is if I have a shirt that's big or too small and it's a graphic tee, you can just cut the graphic out and then hand stitch it to the back of a jacket or something else. Just something that actually fits. You can just fucking steal that thing. When you consider altering things from stuff that you buy at thrift stores, a whole fucking world of possibilities opens up for you. And that's why it is a very large tip that I'm bestowing upon you. Another tip is you should kind of start shopping local. I don't mean shop only where you live. I'll drive other towns over just to see what they've got going on. I usually have better luck in smaller towns than I do in like cities. I live in a fucking city. My Goodwill's not very good. I have one good thrift store in this city, but otherwise I go to other cities to thrift. I don't know, I just feel like I don't have as good of luck at Goodwills. Like, I still do, but I don't frequent them as often because I feel like their rotation just goes so fast and there's never anything for me because someone else already bought it. But at local thrift stores, not a lot of young alternative teenagers visit them as often. So this does have some pros and some cons to it. I feel like since Goodwill is more popular, more people shop there. But also since Goodwill is more popular, people would be more inclined to donate to Goodwill than a random thrift store. So I don't really know how I feel about that, but just in my experience, I don't have as good of luck at the Goodwills. I go to local chains, local stores. Especially because I don't know exactly what Goodwill is doing with their money. I've heard some questionable things about them as a company. With local stores, they're always like, oh, all of our benefits go to homeless people, and I'm like, fuck yeah, take my money. Goodwill is also pretty expensive nowadays. We've all noticed this by now. I really don't have any idea why Goodwills are so expensive. They just really want your money. Even my Goodwills, I've seen Goodwills in smaller towns who have not only the 50% off color of the week, but they'll also have a $1 color of the week. My Goodwills don't fucking have that. They want my money. They're not gonna offer me even more discounts, you know? But with local stores, I usually see that there's 2 colors of the week. So fuck you, Goodwill, I guess. Don't get me wrong, I do like going to Goodwill. It's just not my first choice, and I wouldn't recommend it to be your first choice either. So yeah, shop local. My last tip that I can really think of is to figure out what your best days are. This requires some trial and error, but my tip is to go when they first change the color of the week. I think for Goodwill this is Sunday. It's probably Sunday for most places, but you probably just have to like check it out. If you go to Goodwill on a Sunday and the color of the week is new, let's say the color of the week is green, there's gonna be a lot more green clothing items than there is gonna be on fucking Saturday when the green is all gone. So if you want like more discounts, obviously go like right when they change it. I don't like going to Goodwill's on the day that the color changes. I go like on Monday or something. It's always the busiest day. It just fucking bugs me. I don't like it. I would also say that you should go often, but not too often, because if you go too often, you're kind of wasting your time unless there's something particular you're looking for. When I go thrifting, I usually, I rotate my stores kind of. I just go maybe twice a month maximum. Figure out which days you have the best luck at your thrift stores. There's certain days where I just don't find anything. There's certain days where I find a lot of cool stuff. Alright, let's recap, because I think that's all of the broad points that I have to touch on. Lower your expectations. You're not gonna find the coolest shit all of the time. You'll find some pretty cool shit, but not the coolest shit ever, constantly. Have a style in mind. You'll be able to match pieces of clothing to your mental vibe. You'll just be able to pick out more things, instead of just buying anything that maybe grabs your sight. Look everywhere, every fucking where. Sleepwear section, the clothing section of your opposite gender, I'll check the men's section because I mean, like, what's the fucking difference? Take your time so you can actually look through things and be thorough. And if you are looking everywhere, it will take time. So if you're doing this stuff, you're either doing it right or wrong. Alter your clothing, make it look however the fuck you want. Patches, safety pins, studs, making it bigger or smaller, doing whatever the fuck you want to it, tie-dyeing it, I don't care. Do some bleach art, buy any old bland piece of clothing and just spice it up. Shop local, only because I've had better luck with it. Go often, but not too often. Like, don't waste your time, but do check decently often so you'll be able to see what's going on certain days. If you go often enough, maybe you will find some cool shit. I don't know. Some cool stuff that everyone else wants to buy. And then you'll be able to buy it because you went. Yes, those are my tips. Thanks. Bye.